Imagine a seasoned politician, a familiar face in Singapore's political landscape, stepping forward once again, determined, unwavering, and ready for the fight ahead. Dr. Tan Cheng Bock, the chairman of the Progress Singapore Party, has just made a major announcement. He will be contesting in the upcoming general election. This revelation sends ripples through Singapore's political scene, igniting conversations, excitement, and perhaps even a little tension. For many Singaporeans, Dr. Tan is no stranger. With decades of experience in public service, his name carries weight, his words command attention, and his actions spark discussions. A former member of parliament with a strong track record, he once stood on the other side of the political spectrum. But in recent years, he has taken a different path, forming the Progress Singapore Party with a vision of change. Now, as another election looms, he stands at a crossroads, one that could reshape the opposition's role in Singapore's future. But why now? What drives a man of his stature in his 80s to step back into the electoral battlefield? Is it unfinished business, a deep conviction, or something more? His decision comes at a time when Singapore's political landscape is evolving, with new parties emerging, younger voices rising, and an electorate that is more engaged than ever before. The stakes are high, and Dr. Tan knows it. As he steps up to the podium to make his declaration, supporters watch with anticipation, while political opponents take note. Every word he speaks carries weight. Will his return rally the opposition and shake up the competition? Or will the challenges ahead prove to be greater than expected? One thing is certain, this election just got a lot more interesting. And as the journey unfolds, there will be questions, debates, and perhaps even surprises along the way. So stay tuned as we dive deeper into Dr. Tan Cheng Bock's campaign, his vision for Singapore, and what this means for the nation's political future. The story is just beginning. Dr. Tan Cheng Bock's announcement isn't just another political move, it's a statement. A declaration that he isn't done yet. That despite stepping away from the ruling party years ago, he still has a vision for Singapore's future, and he's willing to fight for it. But as the news spreads, so do the questions. What does this mean for the Progress Singapore Party? Can they gain enough support to challenge the status quo? And perhaps the biggest question of all, can Dr. Tan lead his party to a breakthrough? For those who have followed Singapore's politics, Dr. Tan's return to the election battlefield isn't entirely unexpected. Since forming the Progress Singapore Party in 2019, he has been steadily laying the groundwork, building a team, and speaking out on issues that matter to Singaporeans. But the road ahead won't be easy. The political landscape is fiercely competitive, and history has shown that breaking into Singapore's parliament as an opposition party is no small feat. It takes more than just experience. It takes momentum, strategy, and most importantly, the trust of the people. As the election draws closer, the mood among voters is mixed. Some see Dr. Tan as a leader with wisdom and experience, someone who has been in the system and understands how things work. Others wonder if he can truly bring about change in a space that has long been dominated by a single party. Meanwhile, younger voters, many of whom weren't around during his earlier years in Parliament, are just beginning to learn about his legacy. Will they rally behind him, or will they look elsewhere for fresh leadership? As nomination day arrives, the air is electric with anticipation. Supporters gather, candidates make their final preparations, and the entire nation watches as the official lists are confirmed. Dr. Tan Cheng Bock steps forward with his team, standing tall as cameras flash and reporters rush to capture the moment. This is it, the point of no return. The battle lines are drawn, and there's no turning back. The ruling party, as expected, presents a strong lineup. Seasoned politicians alongside fresh faces, each carefully chosen to maintain their stronghold. Their message is clear: stability, continuity, and proven leadership. On the other hand, the opposition, including Dr. Tan's party, offers a different vision, one of accountability, alternative perspectives, and a Singapore that isn't shaped by a single voice. The contrast is stark, and the voters must now decide. As rallies intensify, so does the competition. Every night, speeches echo through stadiums and community centers. Dr. Tan speaks with conviction, calling for a parliament that reflects the diversity of Singaporeans. His words resonate with many, but the opposition's path is never smooth. Critics dissect every statement, political opponents counter his arguments, and doubts linger in the minds of undecided voters. Can his party deliver on its promises? Will Singaporeans take the risk of shifting the political balance? Behind closed doors, party members work tirelessly, analyzing numbers, refining their strategy, and pushing their campaign harder than ever. The pressure is immense. Every handshake, every conversation, every moment in front of the camera could make the difference between victory and defeat. The weight of expectations rests heavily on Dr. Tan's shoulders, but he doesn't waver. His determination is unwavering, his belief in his cause unshaken. Social media becomes an even fiercer battleground. Supporters flood platforms with encouragement, but opposition voices grow louder too. Misinformation spreads, debates become heated, and the tension escalates. Some argue that Dr. Tan's past links to the ruling party make him an unlikely opposition figure. Others counter that his experience is exactly what's needed to challenge the system from within. The divide among voters deepens, and as polling day nears, uncertainty looms over the nation. The night before the election is restless. Candidates make their final appeals, volunteers double-check logistics, and Singaporeans brace themselves for what could be a turning point in the nation's political history. The streets are quieter now, but the silence is deceptive. The real noise is in the hearts and minds of voters, weighing their choices, thinking about the future. And then, as dawn breaks, the nation wakes up to a day that could change everything. The moment of decision has arrived. The ballots are ready, the stage is set, and the answer to the burning question, will Dr. Tan Cheng Bock and his party make history, is just hours away. As polling stations open, the nation moves with a quiet urgency. Voters stream in steadily, some determined, others still uncertain, their choices weighing heavily on their minds. Dr. Tan Cheng Bock himself arrives early, casting his vote before making his way to meet his team. His face is calm, but there's an unspoken tension in the air. This isn't just another election, it's a test of everything he has worked toward. Throughout the day, reports come in from different constituencies. Turnout is high, with both young and older voters showing up in force. Social media is flooded with last-minute discussions, personal reflections, and hopeful messages. But something unexpected is happening. A shift, subtle at first, then impossible to ignore. Opposition parties, including Dr. Tan's Progress Singapore Party, are seeing larger crowds at polling stations in key battleground areas. Is this a sign of a growing wave of support? Or just a temporary illusion fueled by social media buzz? Then, a new twist emerges. As the day progresses, whispers begin circulating. Certain constituencies may be closer than expected. Internal sources from multiple parties suggest that some traditionally safe seats might not be as secure this time. The ruling party, usually confident in its dominance, appears to be watching the numbers more closely than before. Could this be the beginning of a shift no one predicted? Dr. Tan and his team stay focused, knowing that nothing is certain until the final count. But the atmosphere is charged. Analysts and political watchers begin adjusting their expectations, hinting at a potentially tighter race in some areas. Even the ruling party's speeches throughout the day seem more measured, as if they too sense the changing tides. As polling stations close and the ballots are sealed, the waiting game begins. The entire nation is on edge, glued to their screens, refreshing news updates, watching for any signs of an upset. Early sample counts trickle in, some showing predictable results, but others raising eyebrows. A few seats appear to be unexpectedly competitive, with opposition candidates polling stronger than anticipated. For Dr. Tan, the stakes couldn't be higher. If his party wins even a single seat, it will be a breakthrough. If they don't, it will be a hard lesson about Singapore's political reality. But the bigger question lingers, could something truly historic be happening? are voters sending a message that the political landscape is shifting. The tension is unbearable. As the official results inch closer, the nation holds its breath. Dr. Tan Cheng Bock, once an insider, now a challenger, watches with the rest of Singapore, knowing that whatever happens next could change everything. The climax is near, but the outcome is still unknown. As the night deepens, Singaporeans stay glued to their screens, watching the election results unfold. One by one, the numbers are announced, and the tension only grows. The ruling party secures several strongholds as expected, but in certain key battlegrounds, the margins are tighter than ever before. Dr. Tan Cheng Bock and his team watch closely, knowing that every vote counts. The possibility of a historic breakthrough still lingers in the air. Then, the moment everyone has been waiting for arrives. The first official result for a seat contested by the Progress Singapore Party is announced. The cameras zoom in on Dr. Tan as he listens. His expression remains steady, unreadable, but his hands are clasped tightly. The numbers appear on the screen. His party has performed better than expected, gaining significant support, but it's not enough. They've fallen short of victory by a razor-thin margin. A collective gasp echoes across the room. It was so close. But the night isn't over. More results come in, and in some areas, opposition parties have made surprising gains. A few seats have shifted, a clear sign that the political landscape is evolving. For the Progress Singapore Party, the disappointment is visible, but so is a sense of determination. They may not have won a seat this time, but they have made an undeniable impact. The votes show that Singaporeans are listening, that a new conversation has begun, and that change, however slow, is in motion. Just as the final results are being tallied, an unexpected twist emerges. A prominent ruling party figure takes the stage, addressing the nation with a measured tone. But there's something different in their speech, an acknowledgement, subtle yet unmistakable, that the opposition's growing presence cannot be ignored. For the first time in years, there is a hint of change not just in the numbers, but in the very way the political conversation is unfolding. Dr. Tan watches, his expression thoughtful. He knows that this isn't just about one election. It's about the long road ahead, the foundation that has been laid, and the momentum that could carry forward. As he steps forward to address his supporters, his message is clear. This is not the end. It's the beginning of something greater. The crowd erupts in applause, not in victory, but in hope. Within his party, the energy is palpable. Candidates and supporters are gearing up for what will be a defining moment in their journey. They know they are up against a well-established political giant, but they believe in their cause. Dr. Tan himself remains calm and focused, speaking about unity, accountability, and the need for more diverse voices in Parliament. He knows this isn't just about him. It's about the team he has built and the vision they share. But as with any election, there are challenges. Critics question whether his party has the depth and resources to compete effectively. Political opponents will undoubtedly scrutinize his every move, every speech, every promise. And then there's the uncertainty, because in politics, nothing is guaranteed. With the stage set and tensions rising, one thing is clear. This election is shaping up to be one of the most closely watched in recent history. What happens next could change the course of Singapore's political landscape. The countdown has begun, and the next chapter is about to unfold. As the election draws nearer, the atmosphere grows more intense. Dr. Tan Cheng Bock and his team work tirelessly, meeting Singaporeans from all walks of life, listening to concerns, and sharing their vision. At every rally, in every interview, his message is clear. Singapore needs more voices in Parliament, more checks and balances, and a future that includes diverse perspectives. But behind the passionate speeches and hopeful supporters, the real battle is only beginning. Political opponents are watching closely. The ruling party, with its well-oiled machinery and deep-rooted presence, is preparing its own strategy. While they rarely address opposition candidates directly, their moves speak for themselves. Plans are in motion, policies are being reinforced, and reminders of past successes are echoed across speeches and media. The contrast is clear. On one side, a familiar, dominant force that has led Singapore for decades, and on the other, the election results may be final, but the story isn't over. The political landscape of Singapore has shifted, even if just slightly. And as the night comes to a close, one thing is certain: this is only the start of a new chapter. As the sun rises over Singapore, the city returns to its usual rhythm, but something feels different. The election is over, the results are clear, yet the energy from the night before still lingers. Conversations continue in homes, coffee shops, and workplaces. Some celebrate, others reflect, but almost everyone acknowledges that something has shifted. Dr. Tan Cheng Bock and his team gather once more, not in defeat, but in determination. The campaign may have ended, but their work is far from over. The votes they earned, the conversations they started, and the trust they built have laid a foundation for the future. As he looks around at his team, he sees not disappointment, but resolve. The journey doesn't stop here. Across the country, Singaporeans take in the results with mixed emotions. Some feel reassured by the ruling party's continued leadership, while others see the opposition's progress as a sign that change is possible. But one thing is clear: the people are more engaged than ever. The debates, the passion, the growing interest in different voices all point to a nation that is evolving politically. Dr. Tan addresses his supporters one final time, his voice steady. He thanks them not just for their votes, but for believing in something bigger than any single election. He reminds them that progress isn't always immediate, that every step forward matters, and that democracy is not just about winning, but about offering choices and keeping conversations alive. The crowd listens, not with disappointment, but with hope. As he walks away from the podium, the weight of the night still on his shoulders, he knows this chapter is closing. But he also knows that politics, like life, is never about just one moment. It's about persistence, about standing firm in your beliefs, and about never giving up on the people who put their faith in you.